top 6. Top 6. I love these top. I do sometimes top 10. We sometimes do top 3. This is top 6. Top 6 of the most common perils that the insurance company covers. And it's funny because we were just going over this in our CRM that we're doing. We want to do a drop down because there's pretty much all the time. I'm going to go over the top 6. Top 6? Maybe top 5. I don't even know. I like top 5 better. Of the most common perils that you get on an insurance claim. Let's do it right now in 3, 2, 1. What's up, advocates? Welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Claims Show. I'm your host, Vince Perry, owner and CEO of Commercial Claims Advocate and Elite Resolutions, and we're here to educate you. We're here to drop as much knowledge, 14 years of experience of knowledge I'm going to try to give you in about 10 minutes. Let's see if I can do it, and let's get right to the point. I'm not even going to tell you to follow us or subscribe. I'm going to tell you to listen up right now. Listen up, advocates. Whether you're a public adjuster, contractor, or an attorney, if you have a client that has suffered any kind of catastrophic loss, whether that be by fire or storm or just any catastrophic loss that requires your client to have to move out and incur ALE and loss of use coverage, you need to think about looking at Black Diamond Services. This is an incredible idea for a service that I think is extremely valuable, and I've actually personally used for my clients myself. Basically, what they do is they provide all of the necessary money that is needed to be done for the homeowner to go and move to another place, whether that be a hotel or another home or whatever it is. They basically bill through their insurance policy's loss of use coverage, and basically they provide financial assistance so that the insured never has to incur any out-of-pocket expenses. It's an amazing service. I love the people at Black Diamond Services, especially Millie Varela. If you just contact her and contact Black Diamond Services, I'm telling you, they're going to take care of your clients like you wouldn't believe. I personally have a client who suffered a fire damage and had to use their ALE coverage, and all we did was refer them to Black Diamond. Our clients did not have to come out of pocket a single penny. Black Diamond provided all of the financial money, and they provided the actual location for the homeowner to stay. Amazing service. Contact Black Diamond Services today so you could find out more information for yourself. Top 5. We're going to do top 5, not top 6, because the last one, theft, doesn't really happen that often, but it does happen. Water, fire, hurricane, wind, and vandalism. Okay, that's it. The video's over. No, I'm kidding. Water, fire, hurricane, wind, and vandalism. Those are your top 5 claims that you're going to be getting on an insurance claim. So just understand that that's sort of where it's going to be at. I believe the number 1 is probably going to be water or wind. I don't have stats. I think we have stats on our website, but water and wind, fire, very common, hurricane, obviously, and then vandalism was one that I used to get very, very often. But I'm going to go through some of them just so that we have an idea of some of the things that happen. So let's go. Let's start with the first one. So water damage. A lot of questions about water damage. How does water occur? Where does it come from? Is mold covered? Is it mold separate? Is it together? Whatever it is, it's water damage. It is what it is. If you have mold, okay, let me explain this to you. Mold is usually caused by what? Water. Beware, homeowners, public adjusters, if you just happen to see mold and you file the claim for just mold, there is usually a $10,000 cap for mold. Now, I'm going to let out some secrets. The mold, that's for remediation. That's for removing the mold. That's if you do a mold test, because you'll ask any person who specializes in mold, it is not mold until a test is actually performed and it says that it has high levels and spores of all the weird different names that they call mold. Then you have mold, and then there is a protocol to remove that mold, and then there is another test done, or what we call a clearance test, that there is no longer any mold. All that stuff, the testing, the protocol, the remediation, and then the clearance test, that is what falls under mold coverage, as well as the removal of the mold, that basically, and the setting up the machines and air scrubbers, whatever it is, in regards to that mold, that goes under your $10,000 limit. Not the continuous tile flooring, the continuous paint throughout the house, the continuous drywall texture, whatever it is that costs. What was the mold caused by? The mold was caused by water. Now here's where you're going to run in with some issues when it comes to water. We had a video before we had called pre-existing damage, sudden and accidental. Sometimes if you have mold, chances are it's taken at least 48 hours for that mold to grow. So that loss occurred at least 2 days ago, or it could have occurred longer before that, right? Okay. That doesn't matter, because when it comes to water damage, unless it's negligent on your part, homeowner, that you noticed the water damage and you did nothing about it. And it's the first question that I ask when I walk into a house with water damage, especially if I notice that the damage looks old. I ask them, when did you first notice that water damage? And if they tell me that they noticed it months ago or years ago and they didn't do anything about it, and then that's the reason why there's mold, I'm getting up and I'm walking out of that house and I'm not signing that claim because there's no point. That's called negligence. It's your home. You have to take care of it. And the insurance company also requires you to do what? Mitigate the damages. Make sure that you're stopping the damage from getting worse. And they're obviously not doing that. Now, if they did do it, they called somebody to dry it up and it just didn't work and it's still wet or whatever it is, let's gather up all that documentation. And even if it happens months ago, we will put that date of loss of when you first noticed it months ago. The other thing when it comes to water is if it's been happening behind a wall. Many times you have your shower and you have a supply line that's behind the wall, or you have a supply line or a drain line underneath the floor. And you don't know that that drain line is broken. You don't know that that supply line has got a pinhole leak. And you don't know until, 3 months you get your water bill and now all of a sudden the water bill's high. You don't know because it's happening behind the wall. And then you break open that wall and you notice that there's water damage. Or you don't notice that there's a pinhole leak because it's a pinhole. You don't even notice that much of a difference in the water bill. And all of a sudden you start the wall starts to get yellow. Or that wood flooring starts to develop a little bit of a stain. And you're just like, wait a minute, what is that? Then you call a plumber. They open up the wall and they find the leak. That water, it could have been happening for months. You don't know. It's been happening behind a wall. But it's not your responsibility, and the insurance company and the insurance policy definitely doesn't state it. It's not your responsibility to be able to see through walls. So that, your date of loss there is what we call the date of discovery. So the date of discovery is, I noticed that stain on the wood floor. I noticed these tiles starting to pop up. First thing I did was call the plumber. Second thing I did was call Vince Perry. And he came out here and we did this. That you did everything that you had to do. It does not matter how long that damage has been going on behind the wall. It does not matter how long that water loss has been occurring. And don't let the insurance company fool you because you cannot see behind walls. It's the date of discovery, especially when it comes to water damage, that you discovered the water and you acted on it. You acted upon it and you did what you had to do. So if they ask you, beware. Well, how long do you think that water has been leaking behind the wall? You say, I don't know. I can't see behind walls. Very simple. Okay? You can't. All right? So don't allow them, because what they'll do is they're opening you up to saying, oh, I don't know, it could have been happening for years. Insured described the water damage to have been happening for years. Therefore, not covered long-term repeated seepage. Now that's an exclusion. Next thing is fire. Fire claim is going to be by far one of your largest claims. Okay, it's a tough little niche to get into because you never know when the fire is going to occur. Many different ways that I've heard public adjusters trying to get leads with fires. You look for fires, you door knock, you follow the news articles, you look on Facebook, whatever it is. You find a fire, you go, you knock on the door, and you get that claim. Fire losses are very difficult because a lot of times people have lost their home. A lot of people always ask me, why should I sign up flyers? Why should I sign up fires if it's a total loss? What's the use of having a public adjuster? What I always like to say is if it was a total loss, the insurance company would be out there with a checkbook and they would write you a check for your total claim or for your total policy limits. They don't do that, do they? Because what are they going to do? They're going to put an estimate together. They're going to take it back. And chances are it's going to be under your policy limits. Okay, but if you truly believe it's a total loss, you as a public adjuster have to go in there. You have to write your own estimate. It has to exceed policy limits. There's also the ALE, additional living expenses portion you have to think about. There's also the contents portion that you have to think about. I mean, every single fire claim, you're going to have all three coverages most likely in use. The property damage, the contents, and the additional living expenses. It's your job as a public adjuster to be the quarterback of all three. Okay, you are absolutely needed, public adjusters. And if you're a homeowner watching this, when it comes to a fire claim, I suggest you have already enough stress to deal with by your home and your most valuable possession burning down. Hire help, okay? It's even anywhere between 10 and 20%. And I already know most public adjusters here in Florida, if it's a large loss fire claim, they're probably going to negotiate their 20% percentage. Okay, so I would say you could probably negotiate, public adjusters are going to kill me for saying that. But either way, you're going to pay 10 and 20%. Trust me when I tell you, homeowners, that when a fire loss occurs, you may think it's a total loss, but the insurance company is going to make your job, they're going to make your life very difficult. And I am obviously a huge biased and firm believer of my industry. Hire a professional to make sure that you're getting taken care of. Even that 20% fee, it's going to be, trust me, well worth it when all is said and done and you get the money that you need. So fire, just make sure you got everything in a row. It's tough. Next one we're going to go over is hurricane. Hurricane is what we just had now, Hurricane Ian. Another good thing that's fire and hurricane that you don't have to worry about, that you do have to worry about with water. With water, you have to find a date of loss. Hurricane, fire, you don't have to worry about a date of loss because it's a hurricane that came through and it's a fire that burned down the house. So that's not the issue. The issue is, like I said, with fire, I'll say the same thing with hurricane, is going to be the value of the claim, the scope of the claim. How much is it that they're going to actually pay for your roof? Are they going to pay for the interior? Are they going to pay for all the paint? Are they going to pay for everything? It's the scope of the loss that they're going to be really fighting with you on when it comes to a hurricane. Luckily, a date of loss you don't have to worry about, but you do have to worry about the scope and how much it's going to actually cost. Again, if you're a homeowner, get professional help. The difference between just hiring a roofer and hiring a public adjuster is that you want the roofer and the public adjuster to sort of be working together. The roofer could come up with his arguments and his reasons and his expert opinion as to why the entire roof has to be replaced. The public adjuster can take that, present it to the insurance company, and through policy language and through his estimate, he can get you that full roof replacement without a doubt. So if you aren't sure whether you want to hire a roofer or a public adjuster to handle the claim, hire a roofer to handle the roofing portion, hire a public adjuster to make sure that you're not getting screwed on the insurance claim and on the insurance policy. That's your hurricane. Next one's going to be your wind or hail. So they are different, okay? Big common misconception here, and I may get some flack for this, and people are going to maybe tell me I'm wrong, but what I've been noticing here is that a lot of the policies say wind or hurricane. To me, that means they're two different perils. Okay, for me, a wind claim is your windstorm that passes through and causes some damage. A hurricane is a state of emergency, significant event. Okay, I can't wait to get the flack for this, but that's okay. So you got your wind or hail, you got a storm that comes through, causes the damage to the shingles, also maybe to create some hail. I'm going to put wind and hail together. A lot of times you see that in the Northeast, North Carolina, and the Philadelphia area, Chicago. You get those wind or hail storms, and you're going to get those roof claims. Again, make sure that you have a date of loss here. If you're going in there and you're a roofer or you're a public adjuster, you're door knocking, I would recommend if you're going to door knock after a storm occurs. Don't just door knock and then again, just go to your whatever weather app and just pick a date out of a hat. You can't do that, guys. When it comes to the wind or hail storms, you have to make sure that you not only have a significant date, but you also have what the client says. You have to ask the client, like, hey, when was there an event here? Do you remember an event actually occurring? When's the last time you were on your roof? If he says that he was on the roof just a few months ago, that's good, and he just noticed the damage. When were you on the roof before that? Oh, just a few months before that. Was the damage there? No, it wasn't. Now you could pinpoint your date and you've got some evidence to go by. So either you talk to the homeowner and find out when was the last time, because the insurance company is going to ask. We need to get that story straight. Or as soon as an event actually occurs, then you can go out door knocking and see if you could find any damage to that roof. Vandalism is the last one I'm going to talk about. It's one of my favorite ones. I used to do a lot of vandalism claims in Miami, Florida, and not that it's a bad knock, not to knock on my old hometown, but I used to do a lot of grow houses. That's right, grow houses. Usually when somebody they'll lease a home for a year, and for that year, they will turn the home into a grow house. And before that lease is up, they will do 2, 3, 4, 5 grows, because it takes a certain amount of time, and then they're out. They are gone. And basically, the house is vandalized. The house is completely vandalized. Make sure the number one thing, the most important thing when it comes to vandalism is that you file a police report. Step number 1, when you get a vandalism claim, ask the client if there was a police report. If you're a homeowner watching this, make sure you file a police report. It is not vandalism unless a police report is actually filed. Along with the police report, you're going to have the lease agreement. Most of the time, vandalism occurs in a rental. Make sure you have that lease agreement so you could present to the insurance company. But the most important thing when it comes to vandalism is making sure that there is a police report filed. And that's it, guys. There's a lot of other stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of other perils: explosion, aircraft, vehicle, smoke, theft, falling objects. Let's see, freezing, volcanic eruption. all kinds of stuff, okay? But those are the top 5. Let's face it. Those are the claims that happen the most, pretty much on a daily basis, the kind of claims that we're dealing with. Here right now, we're dealing with pretty much all hurricane claims, and we deal with a lot of water claims, and we deal with a lot of fire claims. To me, those are the top 3 that we deal with at Elite Resolutions. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Great video, not just for public adjusters, but for homeowners and policyholders as well. Make sure you watch it twice to make sure that you got all the information correct. Make sure that you follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, and also subscribe here. Click the bell icon because every Wednesday we've got a new video that comes out. Go on commercialclaimsadvocate.com if you want to get a copy of this book, a physical copy or PDF, and we have our course as well, and all our events that we have throughout the country. You gotta come to one of those. And then eliteresolutions.com for 2 reasons. If you're a policyholder, you want to talk to me, or you have some questions, please, you could put your information in. Or if you're a public adjuster or an admin or anybody, you want to come on our team and you want to really join our family, then please, you could put your information in. We'll send you an application and we'll see if we could hire you from there. So that's all we got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you got something out of it. Have yourself a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.